Alright everyone, couple brand new gaming news stories we need to briefly talk about today, starting with Sega's big super game project that we have seen them hint at as being a massive undertaking, getting some brand new projections in the type of revenue and how big of a project this really may end up being for Sega in the future. Then the big talking point for today's video has to do with the brand new Nintendo Switch System Firmware upgrade, and while there's still a lot of features left to be desired on the Nintendo Switch in terms of system functionality, this update is not that, but we do have to read through the cliff notes of exactly what, if anything, was changed and what we need to see from Nintendo when it comes to Switch firmware upgrades going forward. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as mentioned, guys, a couple different stories we need to highlight, and we have to kick it off with the conversation around Sega and their upcoming super game project. You may or may not be familiar, depending on if you've paid attention to Sega, and most notably their quarterly financial briefing results, and when they're disclosing information to investors, they have essentially gone off on a tangent with what their next big project is for the company, something that they are dubbing Super Game, which realistically at this point in time is a far off project that we know very little to nothing about, other than Sega is kind of staking this as potentially the big future marquee project to drive the biggest revenue of their business going forward. As we know, they're not in the hardware game anymore. Yes, they have smash hit series that do come out. Will Sonic Frontiers generate a ton of revenue when it releases? Totally possible, but they are not the juggernaut of a gaming company that they once were, but they definitely want to get back to that in terms of generating revenue and being a household name that people know and love. And to get on the same page with what they're claiming here around the super game and what it might entail, let's quickly hop over to Nintendo Life and read through their detailed typed up article together. Sega thinks its super game could bank over 600 million USD, targeting release by fiscal year ending March 2026. Japanese video game giant Sega has provided an update on its super game in its integrated report for 2022, reaffirming the company's commitment to the project and claiming it'll be out by fiscal year ending March 2026. In a section of the report about the company's long-term targets, it's mentioned how Sega is striving to create a super game, which would be a major title with a global release. It's currently developing the title and says the ultimate goal is to create something so revolutionary it will attract more users than any other project it's worked on. According to CEO Haruki Satomi, Sega thinks the project could potentially reach lifetime sales of 100 billion yen, just over 670 million USD. Sega hopes to achieve this goal by drawing in a large community made up of players, streamers, and viewers. That kind of community expands and further develops game content, adding value to the game that is unimagined by developers and sparking a broader movement which can draw in even more users and grow the game's presence dramatically. In another section of the report where this super game is referenced, notable IPs such as Sonic the Hedgehog, Persona, Phantasy Star, Total War, and Yakuza are shown in part about reinforcing global branding of its existing IP. So the fact that this project is slated for a March 2026 end of fiscal year release, yes, there's definitely some reason to be paying attention to this project in the background, but I do think that you have to know that with game development, and especially major AAA level game development, that project and goalpost can move dramatically, so we may be a far, far distance out from this, and Sega is kind of known for drumming up a lot of hype around their ongoing projects, but until we really get a glimpse of any kind of gameplay or what kind of IP this is really going to involve and what it even is, because are they talking about a live service game here that's maybe free to play or small dollar entry, but then you're going to be kind of strung along for the perks and upgrades and they really drive the revenue that way? Yes, Sega probably wants a piece of that pie that so many other companies are definitely successful at, and it also sounds like they have their ideas on some kind of community driven development, as they're claiming that the game will continue to develop and evolve as more community players are tied into the project. So what is this super game project ultimately going to entail? We will definitely have to wait and see, but it definitely sounds like Sega is betting the farm on this project in terms of it being the future of their business going forward. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What, if anything, you want to see from the Sega super game? Do you think they're overselling it and overhyping it for what it ultimately will become? Do you think it's just too early to tell? Because that's kind of where I'm at. And then definitely share with me what you personally would like to see from a quote-unquote super game from Sega in March 2026, when we should expect its final release. So So please share all your thoughts and feelings on all things Sega Super Game in the comments down below. Now, the other story we're talking about today has to do with the brand new Nintendo Switch firmware upgrade that you may have seen go live late last night. If you haven't updated your Switch yet, yes, there is a new firmware version. It is 15.0.1. You may remember a previous video on the channel where we covered the big number change to 15.0 with really nothing notably changed, and that was a big pain point for me because normally when you go up to that next round number, you expect a pretty robust lineup of features and enhancements to be included with it. Like we've seen them add in major things like Bluetooth support in the past that were originally missing from the Switch in terms of Bluetooth headset support. We've even seen them add in things like folders, or their attempt at folders with the groups theme on the homepage that you can now access from your all software menu. And we really discussed the state of the Nintendo Switch software as a whole, because right now it is lacking a lot of features that you could even find on the 3DS, which of course was a console that was released earlier than the Nintendo Switch, and now you can officially say the Nintendo Switch is far more successful than the 3DS, and it's like what Nintendo is doing in terms of feature support for this thing at its current age and stage is questionable in my personal opinion. But to go over what, if anything, has really been changed here with this 0.1 upgrade to this 15.0 firmware, let's quickly hop over to Twitter and read through Oatmeal Dome, a notable data miner, where he breaks down exactly at a system level what's been changed here. Nintendo Switch firmware update version 15.0.1 is out. It appears to contain minor changes and bug fixes, which is unsurprising. The bad words list was updated in Japanese to add various phrases telling someone to disappear or get lost. A rude phrase telling someone to shut up was also added to the Japanese bad word list. The web browser and system apps that use it were updated, probably for bug fixes plus stability. Other updated system modules include BSD, sockets, NS, AM, and NIM. Nintendo's official patch notes state, paraphrased, fixed an issue where 2181-1000 would appear when using DLC from non-primary consoles, fixed an issue where screenshots could not be taken in specific scenes in some games. So there you have it, yet another system firmware upgrade for the Nintendo Switch, and really nothing notable to write home about. More general stability, bug fixes and improvements, and ultimately probably could be some fixes behind the scenes on things like the ongoing hackable Switch situation for those OG Switches that you may not want to grab new firmware upgrades when they come out if you are running one of those, of course. But the thing about me and my personal hope for Nintendo is every time I see that update button, I get just a little bit hopeful for a second before I remember that yes, this is probably nothing, and this is indeed another one of those things like missing features like custom themes that people have been asking for forever on the Nintendo Switch. We still only have the light and dark themes. Those are still missing. We don't have things like system level trophies or achievements that I've been advocating for the longest time. I know that's a split decision. Some people like them, some people don't. I say to the people that don't like them, you don't got to go unlock them. It's nice to have it for people who do enjoy hunting those things, and I really hope that by the time we're talking about the next Nintendo Switch console or a revision, whatever is truly next for Nintendo hardware, that we have stuff like that implemented, and some custom themes would be extremely nice, especially with dynamic moving themes. Like, I would absolutely pick up and even pay for those when it comes to things like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom when that game launches. If I could actually have some kind of customized theme that highlights that game when I'm going to be fully immersing myself into it, I'm sure for 100 hours plus, that would be a big bonus in my eyes, and something that I don't feel like is too much to ask at its almost 6th year of being sold and available on the marketplace. It seems like the themes icon even being there in the settings at all seem to be like Nintendo thought about adding in more, but they just haven't done it. So yes, Nintendo's very discombobulated with how they handle Nintendo Switch updates and what the future roadmap is for rollout of features, but for the meantime, we get stability fixes and we get bad words list updates, and it does seem like that DLC fix is at least somewhat notable, because I believe I've seen that error pop up if you're signed up under a different account that's not the primary and it doesn't let you play DLC for some reason. It sounds like stuff like that has been addressed, so minor bug fixes on this system software update. I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video on both the different stories we talked about today. How are you feeling about Sega's Super Game project, and what personal wish list do you have for Nintendo Switch system upgrades going forward? What features are you a big fan of? Which ones do you not want to see? And do you think that we will get any kind of notable new functionality on our current Nintendo Switch systems today? Or do you think anything like that is unfortunately going to be tied to the future next hardware iteration for whatever Nintendo has planned next? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.